I don't know about you, but New Year's resolutions have not worked for me. They usually would fall apart in a couple weeks. But what has worked for me has been a game changer, and that is choosing one word. One word has helped me personally and professionally. And one of the things that I know is that I think it can change your life too. So let's talk more about one word in today's show. In our most sleep-deprived moments, our children will teach us exactly what we need in order to learn and grow into who we were created to be. These are the loving lessons we will learn whether we were wanting to or not. I'm Irene, your sleep coach, and I'm on mission to educate parents on how to help their young children sleep. Welcome to the journey. Welcome and happy new year. And of course, we're a few days into the new year. And this is one of my things that I've been working on is as a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser, being okay that it's not on time. And it's never too late when it comes to thinking about our goals for the year. And so one of the things I wanted to share today on the episode was talking about choosing a word that's going to be the theme for the next year. And so I wanted to do a podcast forever. It's actually been on my heart and something I've wanted to do forever. I actually ended up doing a podcast interview for another group that I was a part of rather than working on my own podcast. And a lot of this was because I was so nervous. And so I'm grateful that I had the chance to do a podcast series for the Parent Advocacy Resource Team. And it really was kind of that baby step to get me going. However, I'm super excited to say that last year, my word of the year was courage. And I had the courage to go ahead and take that leap of faith and go ahead and just put a podcast out there. And I'm really excited and really nervous all at the same time. And I wanted to hop on and talk about goals because a lot of times we think about goals, especially when we're thinking about work life, right? We may have work goals, but I think about, do we have personal goals? Do we have parenting goals? And, a lot of times, like all of a sudden, if I start to write down all the goals I would have, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. So the one word challenge has been a game changer for me in the past few years. And I do want to share with you that my word of the year last year was courage. And I thought this podcast was going to come out last week, but I was sick and I was like, well, you know what? Now I don't have to do it. But that reminder of my one word helped me get back on track to remember, nope, you're going to have the courage to put it out there. And so it's scary and it's hard, but it's worth doing. And sometimes the only way through it is to actually do it. And so, today I want to talk about 3 things when it comes to choosing a word that will help you as you think about maybe your personal or professional goals. And I do think that this helped me the most in my parenting because, the first thing I wanted to share with you is when it came to picking my word, it was really about preparing my heart. How was God going to use me? What was he going to teach me and stretch me with in this next year? And, there were a couple key questions when it comes to picking that one word that came up for me. It was thinking about, who do I want to become? Because one of the things that I started learning in my sleep coaching journey when I was sleep deprived was like, how was I showing up for my boys? Who was I becoming? And what did I need? And what was in my way? So those were some good key questions. Who did I want to become? What do I need? And what was in my way? And here's the thing. I actually found having the one word helped minimize my decision fatigue because it just helped me make a decision. It helped me circle back to whatever the word was and stay focused. I'm a recovering people pleaser and perfectionist. And so the indecision was exhausting around that. And so the one word would become my mantra. And I would be able to say, like, is this the time that I'm actually being courageous? If I'm using last year's word, am I showing courage right now in this moment? Or what can I do to be courageous? And so by using that one word and thinking about questions, it was easier to make decisions, whether it was in like my marriage, with my finances, within my business, and even parenting my boys. And so in all those ways, it was like just like this anchor lesson that I have. And it was also a quick and easy prayer. Sometimes the prayer was like, God, give me courage. Help me be courageous right now. That was it. Quick and easy prayer in that moment, especially when things seemed kind of nerve-wracking and scary. And, again, for me, it was hard to stay focused sometimes. Sometimes I would forget, like, what did I promise I was going to do? What did I say? Like, what did I write down? And this one word, having it just around me in different places and just kind of thinking about it was a way to circle back to what I was really working on in that year. And so the first thing you're going to want to think about when you're coming to that word is thinking, how are you preparing your heart and your mind as you're going through this? What are those key questions? How would you answer them? Like, what is that one word that's going to help you get through the year? The second thing I'll share with you is that there's a journey to discover the word. It becomes the theme of the year. It becomes the one word or maybe even phrase, because, sometimes people say, well, can it be a phrase? I think it can. I think it can be whatever you want it to be because it's your word. And so my word last year was courage. And so, if I started to overthink it, sometimes I'd be like, well, is it courage or is it courageous? How am I going to use it? And then I was like, just stop, Irene, just stop right there. Because if you're like me and you overthink things, then it takes away from what we're really trying to get accomplished, is just to stay focused and take a next step, a leap of faith to become the person that we're designed to be. Who were we created to be, and how are we showing up with our loved ones, with our friends, with our family? So as I thought about how am I going to discover the word, this is actually a process I start in December. Now, I know that you're hearing this in January and you're like, well, maybe I didn't even think about having a word. I don't know that I want to have a word. You don't have to pick one right now. It can take a couple weeks to mull over and think about. Some words I've had in my past. I started this in 2015 and, I had bold and listen and lead and hope and faith and trust and courage. Those were some of the words. And this year I was like, oh, what's that one word? And so, oftentimes when I get quiet, it would kind of come to me. And I would actually already have the word. But again, my tendencies as a perfectionist would be like, is this the right word? What if this is not the word that I'm supposed to have? And all of a sudden, fear would start creeping in. And I don't know if that happens to you or not. It happens to me quite a bit. And so I had to stop and really think about one of my mantras that I oftentimes will say is that I'm having to learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And with having the words, each of the words were stretching me to learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. Because if I'm honest, I want to just kind of stay and be doing what I'm always doing. But the number one thing that I have learned for sure is change is the only thing that's consistent. And we can only guarantee that things will continue to change. And that's really hard, especially in parenting, because I see that with our little ones. A lot of times they're growing, going through developmental milestones. And when it comes to sleep, a lot of times we're like, okay, yes, I've sleep coached my child. We've got it. We did it. And then they grow or they get sick and then you travel and things fall apart. And so sleep is not perfect, but we get comfortable So one of the things I've had to learn is like, how do I get comfortable in the uncomfortable? How can I work with that change? And that's actually where that one word, discovering what was that word, how was it going to lead me through the decisions that were going to come up day to day, whether it was at work or with my children. And so, one of the things I do want to share with you is that sometimes when it would come to picking my word, I would just sit there and I'd be like, I don't know if I really want to be tested like that. Because one of the things I've learned as well is that I'm going to be challenged. I'm going to get uncomfortable and grow because of the word I chose. And we're going to grow whether we wanted to or not. It's just a matter if we're going to be intentional about it. So when we can be mindful and intentional, it makes a huge difference. And so one of the things that, again, that fear would creep in, having my one word and breathing love into the situation, saying like, nope, we're going to make this happen. Like, this is what we're going to do. Good things are coming. And so again, I like to say mantras because they help me get refocused and back on track. So don't let fear hold you back. The other thing too that I learned about picking the word is that you cannot make a mistake. The good news is that I go back to some of my old words. So even though I'm going into 2023, I'm still using courage from 2022. I don't think you have to let it go. I don't think it stops. And I also think that sometimes I'm like, oh, remember, you were bold. You do lead. You do have faith. And those are good reminders to help me remember like who I have been becoming along the way. And that sometimes is a little bit hard for us as parents because we see our children learning and growing, but sometimes we don't realize we're learning and growing too. And so my last piece of advice that I would share with you, the last thing that I would share with you when it comes to choosing your word is to live out your word. Put the words in action. Make it your mantra, make it your theme, and it will become all the lessons that you'll be learning along the way. And this is actually, one of the things I often will start thinking about when it comes to choosing my word is like, what am I asking others to do that I'm not doing? Where do I need to grow? How am I becoming the person I want to be? Like, who did God make me to be? How am I showing up for that? And so a lot of times I'll ask my clients to do things and then I'm like, I need to check myself. Am I doing that too? And so I really like to practice what I preach. And so by choosing the one word, like courage, it's stepping out, being courageous. And, sometimes that looked like saying something that was really difficult, being direct. Sometimes it was saying things that were not popular. And, those were really difficult lessons in 2022, but I see how much stronger, how much better I am on the other side. And, again, I started thinking about what's my word going to be. And so I have landed on the word celebrate for 2023. And, I think about it like, am I going to be celebrating myself, celebrating my business, celebrating my family, celebrating others? I don't really know yet what that's going to unfold and look like. But I do know that celebrate has been the word that has been coming up for me time and time again. And I'm kind of curious to see where it goes this year. And that's the other fun part about choosing a word is sometimes it doesn't go according to how you think it will go. And that's the beauty of it, I believe, because I think it becomes this one word that leads and guides us into becoming, again, who we were made to be. So I hope that helps you as you think about how you're going to prepare your heart and your mind as you're picking your one word and how you're going to discover your word. And then, of course, decide to live it out. One of the things that I really love doing is hand lettering. And so taking the time, and I sometimes just hand letter my word over and over, just like on a scrap sheet of paper, on a Post-it note. on an index card. And then I'll sometimes tuck one into my purse or my bag. So then when I get in there, I see it. It's also on my mirror in the bathroom, so I can see it. And so it's important to kind of have that word around just as a reminder and use the word as it comes up. So if you are on the fence and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to have New Year's resolutions, I've given that up. If you're like, I don't know about this one word thing, I would encourage you to give it a try. What do you have to lose? You know, sometimes you might pick a word and kind of see where it goes and where it leads you. And, you know, I think the other piece too about sharing what that one word is, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm putting it out there. I don't even know what it means, but I'm putting it out there. So that's really scary. And so one of the ways I'm working on my perfectionism is to just put it out there, be done with it. Like, yep, it is what it is. I don't know what it's going to look like. And so be it, and be okay with that. And it's accepting the fact also that it's after the new year, because I used to be like, well, it has to be by January 1st, or like, if I didn't do it by this, then I would sabotage myself and be like, well, then I'm done. I can't do it. I have to wait until the next year. So the good news is that you can be flexible, you can pick whenever, and I would encourage you to go ahead and make a commitment. Say it out loud, and also put it down in the comments. Share your word or email me your word. Tell me what it is. And the thing about when we write it out and we tell somebody is that it makes it real. It allows us then to take action, and that's going to help us live out that word. So I can't wait to hear and see the loving lessons that you're going to learn in 2023 as you prepare to take on and maybe pick one word to lead and guide you. Thanks for tuning into today's show. You can see all of the details and show notes below. And as you go out into your day, I hope that you'll make it your mission to be calm, confident, and rested as you lead today. Sweet dreams.